Hello and welcome back to Undecided Tarot Name. I'm really excited to have you guys here. Today we are going to be looking at the full moon in Aquarius, and this is going to deal with some community and like how to help the world questions along with personal freedom. I'm very excited about this. I also have a card specifically in the tarot deck that I do want to discuss. It'll be right after this intro, so stick around. And you're also going to get a sneak peek at the art, so if that helps with picking out what deck to go for, we can get all into that, which will be really fun. But what I'm really excited about is that we are going to get to dive into this spread and really get some hard-hitting questions. As always, I recommend grabbing a journal, pause and stop and take some time to really self-reflect. I really believe that tarot is such a good self-reflection tool, and I also really like when people come in here and at least are willing to just give it their all and try. So even if you're skeptic, go ahead and let yourself just to try as hard as you can to really allow yourself to sink in. And for those of you who really believe, I do ask that you allow whatever messages to be received today. Sometimes we're a little resistant, but sometimes we really need to hear things, and it's the resistant ones that we are more needing to hear. As always, these are general readings, so they are not going to be probably as fine-tuned to each of you as they would be within a private reading. If you are interested in a private reading, I have my Ko-Fi down below. You can check that out and book a private reading with me if you would like. It's going to be your own private video to watch and see. I highly recommend them. I do them for all of the moons, so at the time of recording, or at the time of this being posted, the full moon in Aquarius will no longer be available for you, but we do have a new moon in Virgo coming up. So if you are interested in knowing where you want to go and want to hear a little bit more about the decks, that's what we're going to do. But how do you know where to go past this point if you're new? Well, we're going to do it through our intuition. That's going to be that little feeling or that little voice, whatever makes sense to you. I usually feel this kind of in my third chakra, the pit of my stomach. There's that kind of gut feeling. That's where I usually end up choosing one. There's something calling me from one of them. If you know already, you are more than welcome to step ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you a little bit about these decks, and we are going to be going into that little sneak preview and talking about a specific card. So that might also help if you want to see some of the art. Our first deck here is Antiques Anatomy. This does deal with some skulls and anatomy, as this deck suggests. So if you're not comfortable with skeletons being shown or organs or various pieces within that, this might be not the deck for you, but it's kind of got a very macabre gothic feel to it. I really like it. It's got some really fun, strong messaging, but it's a really fun, for me, I find it very fun, but I know some people might find the more gothic and dark feel of it not as nice. Our second pile here is the Landscapes Tarot. The Landscapes Tarot mainly deals with, as the name suggests, landscapes. It does have some animals, but there's no people or anything. It's pretty colorful as well, which is really nice. Beautiful scenery photos, and it's very fun. Our third pile is the Mystical Cats Tarot. As the name suggests as well with this one, lots of cats. This one's going to be a really fun one for those of you who enjoy really illustrative pictures. A lot of the time, the pictures on the cards are very, very good at telling and showing. Many people will have kind of a reaction to the art, and they'll know what makes sense to them very quickly with this deck, I think. I really like this one for that. I will say, though, that the cats like to not hold back, and they do tend to scratch sometimes. So if you're ready for some deep work, this can sometimes be the deck for you. In our final deck here, it's been a minute since this one's been on my channel, surprisingly. This is the Neopets deck. If you know Neopets, you're going to know this. There's usually some Neopets lore I have to explain, but this is a beautiful deck. This is specifically the Fairy Edition. And I'm really excited to be having this deck come and join us today for this beautiful moon in Aquarius. If you know where you're going, feel free to skip ahead or keep watching because I'm about to reveal some art for you. Welcome to our little sneak peek of the art of these decks. I'm really excited to be able to share something, a little sneaky peeky with you. I am actually pulling this from the Tarot and Astrology by Corinne Kenner. I've been really liking this book, especially for doing these moon readings. This has been really helpful. And this one actually talks about the moon in Aquarius being the Seven of Swords. Now, the Seven of Swords is often this kind of card of this betrayal and this thinking you're doing the right thing, but maybe you're not kind of a deal, or having somebody betray you and that kind of action is going to come back. We see this duality with the black and white flowers in this. Our two thieves here may actually be in the right. We don't know if it was originally their items or not. And it's a very interesting thing about like the betrayal and deception, and if somebody's betrayed you or if you've been betraying others, and having this conversation of things are gonna come to the light, especially with a moon in Aquarius, where I feel like the Aquarius sign really, what resonated with me while reading about it was that it doesn't like that it's in a moonlight, which is more just the sunlight being reflected. It wants to be in the starlight. The tarot card that really matches with the Aquarius sign is the star, and I always think of how energy of that card is so hopeful and very excited about what's to come, and how this is so upset with what's happening. And I think it's such a good balance to that, to really look at, hey, your Seven of Swords is going to be coming and saying, your time is up, your betrayal is over, the karma's coming. And it could be karma for somebody else that has been betraying you or deceiving you for a while. Everything's gonna come to light, and you're gonna realize, oh, I've been being lied to. All of that. So I'm really excited to be able to share this with you and to see how these play out during the tarot spreads. I think the interesting thing here is that one card is actually a little different, and it's this landscapes card, and it's really talking about forging ahead, like making your own path that has been there for years. So this is kind of that, like following your ancestors that the kangaroos do, because the land has been built for so long that they are just following what they know and has been passed down to them. And I think this might be actually a very interesting way of, sometimes we have learned this terrible behavior or these awful things, and we need to break the cycle. We don't need to be the person who is still deceiving others in order to move ahead. We don't have to be that person, and we also don't have to take that. That's okay to say no to. So I'm excited to see where this ends up in all of the spreads, if it shows up for us at all today. But yes, I hope you also enjoy the art, and I'm excited to see if any of you have chosen off of the art here. But thank you for joining me in this little sneak peek. Pile 1, the Antique Anatomy. We're going to get started with you. Hello, Pile 1. You have chosen the Antique Anatomy, and just as a reminder, this one has skulls and roses, kind of a deal. It's very kind of like a light gothic. I feel it's not super gruesome or anything, but sometimes people are uncomfortable with the skulls. So just letting you know before we dive right in. We are looking at the full moon in Aquarius today, and we're going to start off with, what is your unique contribution to this world? What is your unique contribution to this world? And I'm so excited to be reading for you today as well. I just want to say that. And we're starting off with the Lovers. The Lovers is a beautiful card that often discusses choices. Now, for some of you are going to be very excited that potentially there is some romance about to happen, and that can be the case, but a lot of the time, this is a really good relationships. You have very good core relationships with a lot of people, and you're good at probably making them. I think that you're also really good at being a shoulder to cry on in this situation. And I'm excited that this is what you are known for, and that like this is what you're really good at. If you're like, well, that's what everybody's good at, I promise you, not everybody's good at being a good friend. Being a good friend is really, really hard. So for you, this is an amazing thing that like is unique to you. I highly recommend taking some time and like reflecting on things that have helped you keep good relationships with others, and also like how can you pull this into the rest of this reading and how we can look at different aspects of your life. There might be things that you immediately think of that are really important. This is probably going to be something that also follows you for your life, is that you're just very good with people. You're very good at helping people. You're really good at having others be welcomed into your circle, which is such a wonderful thing to be able to say. I also would, I'm interested because a lot of the time the Lovers means there's choices coming up, and that these are choices that you can't make alone, often with family or your found family. Those are important to have and be part of. We are going to look at, though, how you can make a difference in your community. So how are we going to take this amazing, wonderful skill and make a difference in our community? How can we reach out to others? You're already starting that, which is a really good, solid base. But how can we further strengthen and really utilize it to the best of your ability? It's this card. And we have the 10 of elixirs. Oh, this is a lovely card. Yeah, we're finding our place. We're finding our spot. We're seeing a lot of pink cards, which are such happy, or pink cards, pink flowers. Goodness. We're having this beautiful pink floral happening in this. And I know my camera's not great, but they say wisdom elixir, harmony elixir, dream elixir, calming elixir, happiness elixir, love elixir, and passion elixir. This is so cool. I think we kind of discussed actually really how you can make a difference and reaching out. You are somebody who can do all of these things for other people. You are able to help out. You are able to be part of that. You're somebody who calms down situations. You're able to smooth things over. You're able to, I was going to say calm things down, but I had just said that. But there is something about you that can bring in a simmering situation that like ready to boil over back down, and you can like make things calm and able to, yeah, you're just like able to smooth things over and help everybody get along better. And I think a lot of people are going to be, I know it can feel like it's something that like, oh, everybody can do that, but really people can't. There's, and I'm speaking from personal experience on that one. I cannot. I am an escalator of an issue. If there's something going on, I am going to make it worse. So I think for you, this is a wonderful gift that is so nice. And to find your place in your community that allows you to be able to bring the peace, I think is such a lucky gift and such a good way. I would start looking, hopefully you have your journal. Hopefully you have your journal. I always recommend having a journal when doing this. And I would start thinking of places where you can help out, and because most every place needs somebody who can help keep peace, or that is like not going to add drama into the place. And I'm really excited about that. Now, I do want to go into looking at growing and expanding your friendships. I think you already have many good friendships from what we're already seeing with these cards, but I want to look at how we can grow and expand your friendships even further. And we are looking at the Knight of Blades. This is a fascinating card. I don't think this is going to feel as synergistic for you. You're probably like, oh, things are feeling really comfortable. And now we're going to get into a card, I think, that's not going to feel as comfortable. We have these black flowers that can be very harsh and deceptive, that can be a little stronger than we necessarily want right off of the bat. And a lot of the time with the Knight of Blades, it's an opinionated card. This person is often very quick to coming to conclusions. They're very opinionated. They're very much going to tell you what they think. They're going to jump into stuff very, very quickly, often without looking. They're just like, I'm doing this thing and I'm doing it now. And I think for you, this is going to actually be somebody that you'll find that's very much like this, kind of your opposite of your very calm, easygoing self that helps smooth things over, that you're probably more in this cups area of like emotional sense, where this person's going to be very intellectual, reasonly, where you are heart, this person's going to be mind. You're going to have that kind of duality that'll be really nice. And this, for some of you, might actually be somebody you already know, and leaning into that relationship is going to be really good to help you balance each other out, because you're going to be learning something about yourself. This also might be somebody who you just briefly know. It might not be a very deep connection with, but it's going to deeply impact you. This is the person that you are. This is the attributes that we are hoping to bring out in you and to help balance you out. It's okay to have an opinion. it's okay to say what you're thinking. You don't always have to smooth everything over. Some things it's okay to say, hey, this isn't okay. I'm not okay with this, or I would really like XYZ thing, whatever the case may be. And I think that's going to be important to allow yourself to say, hey, I'm not happy, or even like, this is what I would prefer. I would rather have XYZ situation. I would like this thing to be. If you have somebody already in your mind that for this, I would pause, take a note of that person, write down some stuff. How can you connect with them? Maybe reaching out and sending a text and saying, hey, I want to go get coffee or something. Having a moment to allow yourself. I don't recommend pulling out your phone unless you're watching on it already, kind of a deal. But like, I don't recommend like fully leaving this. I recommend just like writing it down, because sometimes you'll start one thing and then you'll like lose track of what you were doing, this video kind of a thing, and you'll run off. And we're trying to get the full picture here. We're not trying to just like run off and go do a million things right off the bat. So keep journaling, keep your ideas out, and then when we're fully done with the spread, you can come back and write down all of your ideas, or go back through the list and figure out what makes sense and everything once we are kind of through all of this. And with this amazing foundation of what we are kind of going from, how can we bring light to your truth? So how can you bring light to your truth is what we're going to look at next. How can you bring light to your truth? And we have the Six of Coins. The Six of Coins is... The Six of Coins is this lovely charity growth. Okay, so we're going back to this like moment of community. I think volunteering is going to be really, really important. This giving of time. Giving of money can be part of it too, but for your skill set, I think giving of your time is going to be really, really helpful here. We're going to be wanting to look at the growth that can happen, and that's, I think, with all of this beautiful greenery, we're having that growth that's happening through all of the coins and cracks and everything. I think this is really important time to sit and look at this and look at yourself, and what often when we want to help ourselves become better, we will just kind of look inward and only do things for ourselves, or only make sure we're going to the gym, or only make sure we're doing XYZ things, and we'll end up kind of doing solitary things. So if you know that, hey, it's good for me to go to a gym or to like work out, you'll go to a gym and do exercises by yourself, when maybe what you really need to do is join a class and potentially meet people. This card would be talking about, you know, maybe you're trying to learn a new skill, and instead of using YouTube videos, maybe you go to a local class. Some of these things for some people is going to be a little bit more of a commitment. You might have to drive, you might have to move on. If you're looking at your spiritual practice, where are you going to find that community to practice with? There's, of course, that more rural aspect, but maybe you're looking at joining a Discord or a Facebook group or something where you can actually talk to people and potentially have video calls with, where you can get to know people face to face. All of that is really, really important in this, and to find that growth here in the Six of Coins. I really want you to also be aware that this card is a lot of giving in it. There is, I think what you're going to find is that by growing yourself in a way that you're not just soloing that project, you're going to find how you can help others. And I think we're actually going to end up in this point of happiness and this really nice helping with the peace, keeping things smooth out by finding out the areas that you want to be doing that in. Like I said, if you're in a class and you end up realizing that, hey, some people just don't get along, you might be the person that ends up just being like chilling it out without even realizing it. You're the person who calms everybody down, or the situation's down, and it's just smoothed over. Again, journal prompting wise here, if you have some things that you've been wanting to improve on, especially if you kind of were hoping for some self-improvement out of this would be a really good time to see, well, how can I make that self-improvement a community thing? Or how can I take what I was going to do and do it with others? So if you want to organize something, or if you were planning on being able to give back, maybe you do some public cleaning of a park kind of idea, that kind of a stuff would be really, really good to be looking at. I think this might also end up tying into what does true freedom look like for you. And within this, I think that true freedom might need to be defined for you right off of the bat. So feel free to pause and journal about that if that is something that you want to kind of figure out before it. But otherwise, we're going to like dive into figuring out what true freedom looks like to you. And what does that true freedom look like for you? And we have the Two of Coins. I love the Two of Coins. I like this duality that we have with this card in the yellow and the purple flowers. I think they're both very... they're both helpful. We have that like sunshiny yellow that's like dreaming and hoping and all these amazing things, while we have this like purple that's introspective and trying to find within. It's often within like magic and such. It's very much a color for having that third eye moment. If you do chakra work, this is where your third eye is sometimes purple. And that idea of like looking within and hearing the other things and the other voices can be very important. But it's also balancing it with, if you're, again, chakras, if you're doing your third chakra, that kind of gut feeling, and making sure that you have that balance of like the physical versus the intuitive levels. We still have that heart at the center of everything, though. You are somebody who has so much heart. And again, I don't want you to forget that the mindfulness of this, and that there is okay to be opinionated and have your voice heard. It's not all emotionally based. I think that's an important thing to recognize within this, is that, yeah, at times there is a certain amount of like, there's a certain amount of, even though you don't feel like, or you emotionally don't want to work out kind of idea, you should still do it. You know that intellectually. And I think that's going to be part of this. And it's okay for people to know that you're not happy. We don't all have to love the gym, but we know it's best for us. I keep using the gym analogy, but some of you might be able to figure out what that actually is in your life and insert those in the correct ways. I think this is a lot of really good things. I'm really excited is really what this is coming down to for you, because there's a lot of really good things happening here. It doesn't feel like resistance either from you. I feel like you kind of like, yeah, I know this. I'm aware that this is kind of the thing. So this probably isn't feeling like super revolutionary, but that doesn't mean it's not still important. And I think if anything, it's this Knight of Blades that you're a little resistant to, where you're like, I don't know if I really want to lean into that. And that's okay. I do think that there is going to be one more step here in helping you in this journey. And that is, what do you need to release to create more freedom in your life? So to create this true freedom of this balance and stuff, sometimes something has to be let go. And what does that look like for you? It's this card that's calling out, and we have the One of Rods. I was wondering if we would get any rods today, and we did. We have a lovely balance of cards here. There's a lot of really good things happening for you. And I think for you in this case, what needs to be released is this almost perfection and this idea for like, I want everything I create to be perfect right off the bat. It doesn't have to be. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to just be inspired and create junk. Create bad art. Like, that's important. It doesn't all have to be good. It doesn't have to be great. It just needs to be created, and it needs to be... you need to allow yourself the freedom to push those things forward, to push those thoughts forward, to allow yourself to think and exist in this space. We have so many colors on this beautiful rods card. We have the pinks and the whites. So we have those pinks that we were loving in our lovers, in the elixirs, this nice, bright, happy colors, these hopes and dreams, this passion. And then we have this innocence that comes with the rods. I think that, especially the first of the rods, I think there's like this kind of beautiful potential that starts off and we're like, I'm so excited and I'm just getting started on a thing. And I think for you, we might need to look at finishing stuff. It's fun to start things. I'm so with you, especially new projects, new everything. But within this, there is also an aspect of needing to actually follow through. And not just like jump into everything really quickly. And I think that 6 of Pentacles or 6 of Coins here is really like, hey, we need to continue and finish the cycle. I love what we kind of have going here, actually, if you kind of look at it in reverse, because we go 1, 2, 6, and 10. And this is a beautiful kind of cycle of, how do you get to this point? How do we do all of this? And you have to go through the cycle, and you're figuring out like what you want in your community and what you would like and what you're probably passionate about and what you're really desiring. I think if anything, this is actually to tell you to not start the thing, join what somebody has already done. And you probably kept going throughout this set. You were like, oh, I'm going to start my thing. I'm going to start my thing. I'm going to start my thing. I would see what's already out there and join it. Help those who are already doing some good work and join them and be part of their community, because I think that'll be very, very helpful for you. Thank you, Pile 1, for letting me read for you today. I am very hopeful and I have like this feeling of passion in my heart for you that like this is going to be amazing and wonderful if you allow it to be. Take some time and take actionable steps that you can today to make these things happen. What is going to be your next thing to allow yourself to grow into this wonderful relationships that you have, that you can achieve and make, and also to make good choices along with other people's opinions. But don't let yours get drowned out. Thank you, Pile 1, for letting me read for you today. I wish the best full moon in Aquarius for you at this time. And I hope you found some things that resonated with you. If you're willing to share, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Welcome, Pile 2. You've chosen the Landscapes Tarot. I'm really excited to have you join me. Highly recommend having your journal ready. Sometimes that's very helpful in these, especially if you're willing to do some self-growth in this time. I think it's very helpful to have a journal on hand and allow yourself to pause the video as needed to write down what your thoughts and feelings are. Sometimes art is very good at telling you something that I can't as the reader. So things will be different for each of you, but I highly recommend having something to write down and like take the time and allow yourself to actually sit and rest and allow yourself to have this kind of moment of self-reflection along with this like self-care of like cleaning up your mind almost, of like, okay, what needs to be thought through and dealt with, and what do I actually need to emotionally deal with sometimes can come up within this. And so having a list of things as you go can be very, very helpful. We are going to start with, in this full moon in Aquarius, what is your unique contribution to this world? And it wants this card. We have the Knight of Wands. I love okay, this deck loves this Knight of Wands. It has been coming up so much. If you're in my lives, you have been seeing this card a ton. This is a fast moving, like he's already trying to get off the card kind of a thing. Like this, you are somebody who is really excited and energetic and wants to get onto the next adventure and go into the next thing. You're ready for the next activity. And not everybody has that energy. You are bringing something that is very unique in the sense that you are offering a moment to, or an energy that is so contagious and that you can hype up everybody else and you can stand on your own and be excited about things. And so when people come into it, they can be excited with you. That's so fun. And it's so nice. You have that spark that the fire has, of the wands. And I love that you're able to bring that spark into everything. It's very wanted and very needed. So how can we make a difference in our community? So how can you make a difference in your community with this amazing spark, with this desire, with this passion? I love the Knight of Wands. It does also suggest that you were probably a bit younger. And I think that like kind of energy, that younger energy helps out a ton. Now, not all of you are, because it's a general reading, but I do think it's a fun, young at heart, if nothing else. And I love the passion and energy that you're bringing. So what are we going to do to make a difference to your community? And we are looking at the Five of Wands. Ooh, we're continuing that beautiful fire energy. This is a really fun card in that, well, typically the Five of Wands, I think, is like a card that can be about disagreements and such. I think that actually you're able to kind of settle it down, and you're not afraid of disagreements. You're not afraid of the hard times that can come up with things. How does that help you in your community, though? We want to be able to... Some people are just built to be able to take criticism really, really well. And not everybody has learned that skill. This is one of those things where it can be really, really nice to have the ability to be the person that's like on that front line that's taking the calls or whatever. So if you passionately believe in something, a lot of places and communities, volunteer places, need somebody to answer phones and take complaints and handle that stuff. If you are somebody who's like, well, that's not a big deal, I can answer the phone and I can deal with that stuff. There's a lot of people who are unwilling to do that job. And I know it's not the like flashy part of the job, but it's such a much needed thing within a lot of volunteer spaces that there's a lot of want and desire to have that help. There's also a thing here where that's often a thing that those with disabilities is, you know, everybody's got their own ability levels and whatnot. This is often something that, you know, people who can't necessarily do the field work or can't go out into, you know, doing the harder stuff or the more strenuous stuff, that's where they can really reside, is in that like office space, that phone, answering questions, helping out with, you know, the logistics of things, rather than necessarily doing the hauling of items, or maybe, you know, doing the footwork of being out on the sidewalk for 8 hours, standing around and like getting that information out. That can all be a very different thing. I think you can't necessarily do this alone, and I think we can always... I'm curious about what the next card will do and if how it'll expand upon this, because I want to know how you're going to grow and expand your friendships. Aquarius is a really fun card that I think has kind of almost, well, it looks like it's water. I think there is that it's truly an air sign, and I think by having that water, there is some very interesting relationship dynamics that can happen because of that. And so I'm interested in how you can grow and expand your friendships specifically. Nope, it wants to keep on shuffling. I'm going to keep on shuffling. There it is. And we have the Five of Cups. Oh, we have another 5. With the Five of Cups, there is sometimes a moment of grief. So I wouldn't be surprised right now if you're actually kind of scared of the idea of going into new friendships. Probably something has broken apart or potentially not been as helpful. And the idea of actually sinking yourself into a new project might be very welcoming, as you're upset about stuff. And sometimes when we're upset, it's really nice to be able to have something else to look at and focus on. And I don't want you to necessarily push all your emotions away. Grieving is important, and it doesn't have to be a death. Sometimes, I can't speak for everywhere in the world, but I know in the United States of America that there is this kind of, in some parts of it, where it's like you're not allowed to grieve unless it's a death. And there's so many things that end in our life that need that time to be grieved. The end of an era, the end of a relationship, the end of a job, the end of whatever thing that just saddens you. It's okay to be upset about that. The nice thing with the Five of Cups is that there is a nice silver lining. There are other things. There's this beautiful lush green forest. Things will get repaired. Water will collect elsewhere. It doesn't have to be in this particular bowl. There's puddles. There's other places for water to grow and be part of. And sometimes the earth needs that spillage. In order to create, we need to deconstruct as well. Both have to happen. And I think in this is that balance and understanding that both have to be. For good times, there has to be bad times. I think that balance is so hard and it can be overwhelming. And this is that Five of Cups reminding you that it's okay when it's overwhelming to like be upset. It's okay to feel those emotions and to say, yeah, this sucks. I also think that honesty with your emotions can be very helpful with friendships, because some of us don't get the chance to have those honest emotions, and it can be very nice to have those friends that allow that safe space for that emotion, that emotional being. I'm very excited in that sense. I'm excited to also look into the next card, as we have this really cool foundation of your community, friendships, like kind of this looking outward. I want to look inward by looking at how you can bring light to your truth. So how are you going to bring light to your truth? And we're going to be looking at the Six of Pentacles. And the Six of Pentacles is a beautiful card I know I say that about every card. I love this deck. This deck is beautiful, which does not help. This is a card that is about charity and help and giving. We have this door with an apple in front, with the bushel of apples. Sometimes we are the people who are giving the apples, and sometimes we need to be the people who are receiving the apples. It's okay to get help. Sometimes to get help, we have to accept the fact, or sometimes to give help, we have to accept the fact that we need help. Looking at both sides, looking at where you need help in your life can be very, very important. And sometimes it's also a humbling moment of, I can't do this alone. You need to do this with others. I think it's kind of interesting that we have these like lone creatures. There's even one lone mouse in this, and there is a mouse or some small creature of some sort in this door. And we have a lot of lone figures, and I don't want you to feel alone. I don't think that's what this is calling you to do either. I think you need to find other people that you can connect and sink into and have meaningful relationships. And yes, sometimes you do get hurt along the way. And I'm sorry for whatever pain has happened in the past. But we do need to move forward and be able to still live. Relationships can still happen and be good and amazing and impactful and important to you. Don't be so scared to live that you're not willing to feel anything. To feel everything is so much more important. I think within this, I do want to look at what does true freedom look like for you? Because to accept and to give help can be, it can be hard. And I think this, if you did bring out your journal, sitting and pausing with this card, I think is really important right now, because I think the helping card and aspect of it is actually very important. Look at where you can reach out and look at where, especially with this amazing energy that you have, this spark, this passion you have, where can you bring that, and where can you let that passion thrive and burn and just like allow yourself to just take the world and like make the things work, but also knowing that like there's going to be a point of burnout, there's going to be a point of sadness, and knowing what that balance looks like for you is going to be very, very important and very beneficial to you. So what does that true freedom actually look like? Is a moment of pause with the Four of Cups. This recuperation? This moment of like taking a moment. I'm going to explain the situation because the word is failing to come to me. This crane is looking for somewhere to rest. And you also need to look for a moment to rest. You love this energy of just going. I want to go on to the next thing. I want to be part of the next adventure. I want to do all this stuff. But we really need to actually sit in ourselves and like listen to our body, listen to our emotions, listen to what our being is telling us. So like if your body is crying out that it's tired, it needs the rest. And this is asking you to rest. This is asking you to take a moment of realizing what's going on. And I think and I'm curious for our last card is what do you need to release to create that? Because that can be really hard. But I find it as a good balance here with that Six of Pentacles, because that giving can be so strenuous, especially if you just give constantly. You need to be able to also say, hey, I need a thing. The I statements, I need something. It can be very important and be like, I'm not okay doing this. I'm not okay right now. I need rest. I need to have time. I need to do whatever that might make sense. Can be really, really good and helpful at this time. And I think is needed. It's not something you can push off. There's the idea that, hey, your body, if you don't let your body rest when it's asking you to rest, it will force you to rest. And that's kind of the energy I am getting with this, is that you need to rest, that you need to have that time to recharge and figure out what's going on next. I do want to look at what you need to release to create more freedom in your life. So look, you're probably like, I don't have time to rest. Because again, we have that beautiful energy that you're like, I love to do stuff. I want to do all the things. I don't want to rest. Why would I want to rest? And what we really need to actually look at though is, how do you get to that point? How do we get to that energy or that point of freedom? How do you allow yourself to create more freedom for yourself? And we have the Knight of Swords. Ooh, that double knight energy. We have an interesting thing with pairs I've seen, because a lot of things came in pairs, and then we have the Six of Pentacles kind of in its own lonesome self that I think is very striking. Fascinatingly, with the Knight of Swords, we have more of that kind of haste, that speed, that I'm making a decision really, really quickly. And so it keeps on going. But the thing with the Knight of Swords is that often you're being too hasty. You're being too quick. You're trying to jump too fast, too far, and you're not thinking something through. And you need to release this fact that you want to just jump in so quickly. You need to actually look at your life and those things that you're like, I want to do XYZ thing. I want to start this, and this, and I want to go into this and this and this, and I want to join this volunteer group. I want to join this community class. I want to do this thing, and I want to go and get this, go to this bar with my friends, and I want to go to this thing with my friends, and I want to do this with my family, all of this stuff. You have a busy life. What actually do you need to do? And actually take some time to think and meditate on this. Take some time. Let yourself think. And I suggest doing this in silence. I know for a lot of people in our very electronic day and age is that silence is scary, but that's really when you're allowing yourself the time to actually think. Actually take time to figure out what's going on and what is needed in your life to move forward, and not just jumping off the cliff to quick go after the next mouse, but like actually think about how are we stationing everything out to be able to make things work really, really nicely for yourself. I don't think that you're doing things poorly, by the way. I think you're doing things in a way that makes you feel really comfortable. I want you to take this moment to grow, though. I want you to become better. I want you to become a better person and a better you. And I think you also probably want that. We have these fives that, well, normally I don't look into anything super deep because unless it's like in 3 or more cards. I think there is something about these pairings, and the 5s are often about adversity and kind of like this moment. They're in the middle of the cycle of the minor arcana, the 1 through 10. They're that middle point where it can feel a little like things are clashing and not working out. Things can work out and shall work out for you. It's just that you have to get through the hard points. Again, we're at that point of balance of like good times with the bad. That's part of the deal. The nights are such wonderful emotion. Things are happening. The knights in the court are trying to move up and become better and bettering themselves. They are wanting to be better at what they do. They wish to become potentially the king of the realm. And that's not necessarily a gendered thing, by the way. You can just become the ruler of the realm in the sense. There's just like story to the cards in the sense that like sometimes the knight is trying to become the king and there is that kind of push to become so much better, but sometimes you over push and you overdo it. And I think that it's really interesting that we then have like 2 wands and that spark is there for you, and we have 2 cups and that like emotional desire is also there for you. And then we only have 1 swords and 1 pentacles card, and as pentacle cards especially, the 6 of Pentacles really feels like it's the lone card out of everybody that really doesn't belong. And it's interesting that I don't think you're really willing to necessarily accept it right off the bat. I think that it's a good card to reflect on. Like I've said before, I think this is going to be the card to sit and think about if you're willing to do a little like self-study and try to like, if you want to further this reading and really take it and you're really trying to like make this reading be a point of self-reflection and really take some time, I would do some research on the 6 of Pentacles. I would take your time and like do your own research on the 6 of Pentacles, figure out what you really care about. The 6s are a point of growth in the tarot cards. They're often, a bunch of them have just these kind of moments of like realizing that who you are and like a moment of pause, and also realizing like within that pause, like looking back and going, oh, this is where I'm coming from. There's points of having to accept help from others. There's so many things within the 6s of the cards that can be such a good pivotal moment, and I think you're coming off of those with the 5 and the cups and wands there. You're continuing that cycle, and the next steps will be the 6s. And I think with the 6 of Pentacles is our first step into that, where we're realizing, oh, I need to get to that point to get to the next step. And the 7s will follow, which is like a bunch, they're a little bit more, they're more about having the faith in what you've done, like all the work you've done, and kind of like, yeah, it's gonna work out kind of a deal. That's tends to be the more the 7s, but we're really in this point of growth, and like we're putting in the grind, we're putting in the work, but we also can't do that alone. So if you're willing to take this and bring it further, this is the Landscape Tarot, the 6 of Pentacles. You can probably look up the art online if you wish to look at it a bit more, or do your own research and look at other decks' art and like do a full study, find out what other meanings there are. This would be a really good card to meditate on. There are various, if you do meditations, which I highly recommend, there are various cards, meditations. You can, if I remember, I will try to link the one that I really like below, where you sink into the card's art and stuff, and you like visualize yourself stepping into this. That can be super helpful, and I would recommend that, is to take that moment to just let yourself feel this and realize where you stand in this. Are you handing off the apples, or are you behind the door, unsure if you really want to accept them? And I think that's an important thing to realize in this reading. Pile 2, thank you so much for letting me read for you today. I'm very curious about if anything resonated, and if you're willing to share, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. This was one that I think there's a lot of really cool stuff that's happening in your life, so I think this is also one that, like, this is going to kind of take some time to fully develop and like really, I want to say ripen is the word, but I don't know if that's really one. This is a moment of growth, though, that you're like gonna have to figure out, you know, what's coming to fruition and everything. And we're not quite to that point where we're gonna see the fruits of our labor, but we are getting there, and which is gonna be very nice. But thank you again, Pile 2, for letting me read for you today, and I wish you the best of luck in this adventure that you are on. Hello, Pile 3. I am so excited to join you today in this full moon in Aquarius reading. I do recommend grabbing your journals. Get ready for that. Sometimes that's very helpful. And I'm really, as a personal note, I'm so excited to read with this deck again. It has been a while. I love this deck. I usually use it for personal readings. It was my first tarot deck, and so there's a really strong connection for me. But I have been so busy trying to learn some of my other decks and trying to get to know my other decks that this deck has just been neglected, and I'm very excited to see what it has to say. Sometimes that means, though, we might get some claws. So I'm excited to have a really good moment today of self-reflection along with actually sitting and thinking about what's going on in our world right now and figuring out how we can better ourselves, which is really, really nice. And to start off with is, what is your unique contribution to the world? What is your unique gift? What is your ability? What is it that you offer that the world is not... The world is a better place to have you for. And sometimes this is something that we don't always recognize within ourselves as a thing that... We don't always think that it's unique, is what I'm trying to say. Excuse me, Six of Sky. We are not asking for you. We are, though, asking for this card, apparently. Nope. This card. And this is the Sun. This is a lovely card to have for your immediate... To start us off. Oh my gosh. Okay. The Sun is probably one of the happiest cards in the deck. I think this is just you're optimistic. That's so nice. As somebody who can be a little in between, but tends to lean optimistic, boy, it's really nice to be around other optimists. I also think it's really good for like team morale and stuff. So being optimistic is a wonderful thing. I'm also curious how this is going to spread a light on everything else that we are looking at today, because the Sun paints such a beautiful, easy card. Sometimes it's a little disappointing to have the Sun come up because it's just such a happy card that it feels like I'm kind of blowing smoke up your ass a little bit. And I'm not trying to, I swear. I do want to look at how you can make a difference in your community, though. And that card is the Wheel. Ooh, we are dealing with a lot of major arcana right off the bat. Okay. I'm going to shift this slightly mood-wise. We're going to take this very seriously. Hopefully you came in and you were ready for serious. We're going to move into some serious discussions because the combo of the Wheel and the Sun, for me, is such a positive change is happening that you need to really step out and be willing to help others with that change and be willing to allow that change with others. And how do I want to say that? Because we're talking about making a difference in the community around you. Things are changing in your community. You might not know it. So you need to step into it and bring your positivity to help lighten up everybody else's world. It can be very heavy trying to do change by yourself or within your community. It can feel very isolating and sometimes very hard. And this is your point to reach out and take the time to find that change that you're looking for and help with it and be part of it. Things are improving, which is great. It doesn't always feel like it, but there seems like a really positive change that is happening, but you need to also be part of it and help with it. I would take some time, if you have your journal, take some moments. What things do you want to see in the world? And remember, this is meant to be a private thing. You can be very honest with yourself. Take some time to actually sit and think about what things you want to have happen in your community or happen in the world. Large scale, small scale. Small scale can be good things as just simple as, I want, this yard to be cleaned up or whatever. The sidewalk to get patched or something. And they don't have to be big things. Things don't have to be, world peace. some things can be, and that's perfect to put on your list, but some things also just need to, you can make those small things. And I would just sit and really take some time and listen to yourself and self-reflect for a bit on what positive changes you are wanting, and how, and we're going to look at a little bit more and how like your personal self can work on things. Once we kind of lay down this like outside community, we're going to lay down some cards for your personal like ability, but I want you to start working on that list of what makes sense to want change in for you. So take some time for that. I'm going to start shuffling our next card while you're doing that. I have 2 cards being called out for our next question. So if you've finished your list, feel free to come back in. If you haven't finished your list, pause, because we're going to move on. But we're going to be looking at how you can grow and expand your friendships, because a lot of the time this isn't a solo project. And what we are looking at is, okay, we have the Priest, another big major arcana card, and we have the 7 of Earth. I love this combo. This is a good combo, because I really think that you need to be looking at, with the Priest card specifically, I think you need to be looking at mentors. So we're not really looking at friendships specifically, but we are going to be looking at mentors and looking at how you can look at that next step. Who can you reach out to learn how to make these differences? Check your list again. A lot of those things you can't do alone. You can't, you don't have the knowledge and stuff sometimes even to do those things the way you would like. And this is where the Priest is going to come in. He's the mentor for those of faith and whatnot. And this is going to be you finding your mentor for those things that you were working on. It's very important. The 7 of Earth is actually really nice, that the time that you invest in, you are going to have something come out. This is a patience game. This is something that it takes time. And this is to remind you that progress is slow. It's a really slow thing, but investing in these relationships, investing in all of this time, will see something come out. We have this cat who's waiting for some small creature to come out of the hole. And in this hunt, it is about patience and time, and investing that time and patience and taking yourself and allowing yourself to sink into this project. And with this, allowing yourself to be okay with this moment of pause and waiting. It's not easy. I'm going to be very real. It's not always easy to do this moment, and it's not always easy to take this time to be like, how do I want to say this? It's not always easy to take the time to pause or to actually sit and wait. You are being reminded, though, that taking time to learn the knowledge, to accept the help of others, will help you pay off in the end. It's not a fast thing as much as we would like it to. Change often is slower than we would like it to be, which is somewhat unfortunate. I would take a note. I don't want you to fully leave the video for multiple reasons, but sometimes I want you to be able to get the full encompassing thing. So take a note that, hey, what are some of those top things that you made a list of, and where are you going to be able to put those in your actual life and invest in? What are those things that you are able to actually look at and go, this is something I can reach out in my community for. This is something I can look out and see what's happening. What groups already exist? What volunteering efforts are already being made? This is the time to look at those and learn from them and help them and be part of this. Again, you have this wonderful positivity and light that you are bringing. Bring it in and help rejuvenate the efforts. Now, we also want to bring light to your truth. So how can you bring light to your truth? Whoop. Sometimes I read flyaways, but a lot of the time I do not. But this one, how can I bring light to my truth? It's the 5 of Earth. We have some good earth-based cards happening, which is really, really nice. So with this earth-based card, I can talk, I swear. I think we kind of get to lean into that community and asking for help again. There is a lot of worries that can come with starting a new adventure or starting something new, and especially something so big, something so meaningful and such a large change. You don't have to do this alone, and you don't have to sit outside alone. You can go into the warm home and be welcomed in. You know, the crazy cat lady will still take you, kind of a deal here. And I want you to realize that that's okay, and that's important to allow others to help you and to be helped. Yes, it's worrisome. Yes, it can feel like you're stuck in a spot where you don't want to be. But you can, and to remember, I think this just came into my head, to remember that reaching out to others who might feel lonely is also important. Again, you have this beautiful light within you. How are you allowing others to feel included and being brought in? You will find your truth in community and with others, and finding them with you is going to be really important. So what does true freedom look like for you? What does that actually end up being? And we have this card here. We have the Sea King. We have this emotional being. We haven't seen any of the Sea cards to this point. This emotional relationships kind of balance that ends up coming in the Cup card or the Sea cards is a lot of emotions, a lot of relationships. And with our Sea King specifically here, we have somebody who has mastered that. You are somebody who's going to end up being mastered in these relationships, the emotions of this thing that you were looking into. What has really driven you emotionally, or I want to say like that kind of heart. If you do your fifth chakra, what the fifth chakra kind of is calling you to, that's where we're going to be finding this true freedom. That thing that your heart really calls you to. Look at your list, take a moment to pause. What is your heart calling you to? That's where we're really going to find our true freedom. It's that mastery, that authority, that power that lands in that emotional aspect can be very important here. I do want to look at what you need to release to create more of this freedom in your life. So something's probably holding you back where you can't fully allow that. And we have the 7 of Seas. Interesting. And with the 7 of Sea, we are looking at this illusion. So the 7 of Sea can be a multitude of things, which is, because I don't have you in front of me, I can't ask a couple questions to kind of figure out what's going on. First off, look at your list. What's actually attainable and what's not. And some of the things that you have on your list are a little bit more of a dream than anything. What we want to do is look at the attainable and what currently is our actual options. Still passionate. We still want that thing that really matters to us, that we really do believe it's going to happen. But like world peace being on your list is probably not the thing that you will be able to help obtain. Potentially it is. Maybe if you truly do believe it, you could be part of the change. I'm not trying to say. But there might be something on there that you're like, I'm not probably going to find aliens, kind of a deal. Some might. Again, it's about your personal passions, but there's some things on there that you put on that list that really aren't as true to you as the others. This kind of illusion of having a lot of choices. I know we made a list. I know we sorry. I know we had this whole instruction of like making a big list and having that like, hey, where can we do it? And now this is the point where we go through that list and go, well, what's realistic? What can we actually do? What is the thing that I can actually find where I can dig my heels in and like help out and do the work and be part of a group or part of this thing that can help other people, help make more things more impactful, kind of a deal. And that can be really important within this, is that the idea that your long list was, I know this is an interesting thing that we ended up, that long list is important to actually get all of the things down, because what probably is not at the top of your list is the one that you're truly going to actually start with. Finding out where in your community you can pop into and help and join is going to be important in this. Figuring out what is already started can be really good, and to know where you can donate to help out, to join in, whatever. We don't have any sword cards. I'm not as concerned with the lack of swords. It doesn't feel like you're trying to like not logically think about this, but this feels like more of a problem where we need to like, it's a heart matter less than a mind matter. I think you may have actually logicked yourself out of doing other things than listening to your heart, and the fact that like, hey, you are passionate about things, like let's go be passionate about things. We also don't have the fire in here, actually. Interesting. This 5 of Earth makes me think of the fire cards, which is why I keep thinking it's a fire card, but it's not. It's the Earth card, and that spark is probably something you're going to also have to find along this journey, is that like spark to really make you do this. I do think the Sun card can be very powerful in that aspect, that, hey, you know, moving forward, it can be really good. So keeping your spark and allowing others to feed off of it, but also remembering to get your own fuel for your flame is going to be very important within this, and making sure that you're able to do all of that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of really powerful stuff, pile 3, that you are capable of, and you need to be able to and willing to accept that and be willing to go out into the world and change that. I'm really hoping you took this seriously, because I think this is a really good moment to have that change and that aspect to you, to revitalize and be the change you wish to see in the world. This is that time for you. Please take some time to journal, write down your feelings, all that stuff. Take the time to figure out what makes sense for you. This is going to be a good time to meditate, focus on balancing yourself if you do chakra work or anything like that. Like, this is the time to like kind of rebalance and focus on that, and like then plunge into the world. I don't want you to take too long to balance. I want this to be pretty quick, that you're like, I'm going to go do things, because we don't want to lose this passion that we have for this. So I thank you again for letting me read for you, pile 3. Full moon in Aquarius has some very, very strong power for you, and I'm very excited about that aspect. And if you're willing, I would love to hear about what resonated for you in the comments below. Welcome, pile 4. You've chosen the Neopets Tarot. I'm very excited to do the full moon in Aquarius spread with you. If you haven't got a journal, highly recommend it. We can be doing quite a few different things in here that may end up having some thought to them. So we will see what we end up with. And we're going to start with, what is your unique contribution to this world? And the card that's getting called is this one. And we have the Tower. Ooh. I think you're somebody who is willing to... You're willing to like allow things to deconstruct, to rebuild. Some people have a fear of the Tower, because often with the Tower, what it means is that something has to kind of start from the beginning. You have to, what I always think of with the Jenga is, or like with the Tower, is Jenga. So when you're building that tower and it starts to tip and it starts to tip, and you know eventually it's gonna fall over. And the idea is that you're kind of aware that like this tower might fall over and it might crumble and it might fall apart. But the nice thing with that means is that you get to start over and you get to start again. Maybe not necessarily in Jenga. If you like board games, then it's really fun. Then you're like, yay, I get to play Jenga again. But in some situations, it can be really nice to have that rebuild. You get to start with a better foundation and actually build upwards in a way that you weren't planning to. And I think that's really nice that you have that skills. It could also just be that you're used to the chaos that comes with the Tower. Sometimes that just means that you are ending up in a situation or situations that can end up having that like restart. And I think that's a really nice thing to have some familiarity with, because that can offer really good advice to others. I do want to look at what you can do to make a difference in your community, especially with that really strong energy that you have. And we have the 2 of Cups. And now, oh, I like this 2 of Cups. The 2 of Cups is a really nice friendship, partnership, sometimes romantic attraction. In Neopets lore, we're not fully sure if these people end up being a couple. There's a lot of that in the Neopets lore where people are maybe a couple, but maybe not. And the nice thing about here is that through the fall of Fairyland, these two people realize kind of how they get along better. Their friendship is strengthened. There's a trial to it that ends up making their friendship far better than it was. And I think that your power of knowing how to rebuild something can really show up in the Two of Cups really nicely, because you know how to take a friendship and rebuild it correctly. And I think that's going to be something where you building relationships is actually really nice and really good. You're a good networking person is what I'm really kind of getting to here. I am excited to look into how you can grow and expand your friendships, especially kind of based off of that Two of Cups and where we're going with that. Give me a second to shuffle something in here. It's this one. Nope, it's this one. Okay. And we have the Six of Pentacles. Now, the Six of Pentacles, the sixes in general are growth. And which is great to have for growing and expanding your friendships. We're having some growth and stuff, but this is a card of generosity, charity, giving. We have a couple different features on here. So one, we have the money tree, and the money tree is where other Neopians donate stuff. Sometimes it is the Neo points, and sometimes it's items, and they all end up being given to people who are in need. So the idea is that it's a kind of a giving tree in a sense. So the money tree offers us gifts and free stuff kind of a deal, which can be amazing and perfect and what you need in that time of need. But once a year, it ends up being covered in these, they're like salamanders, and I think it's like a play off the name salamander, and of course I don't fully remember. But trying to snag one is sometimes an interesting, it's not always possible, but some people are lucky enough to be able to get one. And we see this little jub, just a little bit pouty and a bit upset that it's stuck with a bunch of salamanders instead of the NP that seems so much better. Getting Neo points seems so much better in his situation, but he is stuck with the little salamanders. And so I think though this knowledge of who are you identifying with, because maybe you are somebody who needs the help, and you might also be somebody who needs to give the help. We cannot get help if we do not. It's to give help but not ask for it is really insulting to some. And it can come off as being better than the others. So remember to give and to receive. It can be very important. And also knowing the balance of when you do need to help. Sometimes that's a humbling experience, but I think you need to just know the joy of being helped. That's okay. And yes, sometimes we are begrudging to what can happen. But overall, I think it's a very important thing to keep in mind is that how can your friendships grow and expand would be looking at how you guys can give and take to each other. How are you guys benefiting and helping each other? Is somebody pushing all of the weight in? Then maybe they need to receive more, and vice versa. Are you giving everything of yourself but not receiving anything? That might be a sign that that friendship may not be one to invest in and keep growing and expanding in. And you should keep looking elsewhere or potentially look at cutting it off. We've kind of gotten a really nice foundation of outward looks. So like we can contribute by our ability to handle change, like dramatic change, and being able to rebuild our relationships really well. And especially because we have that really strong emotional and relationship power here with the Two of Cups, but also knowing that the advice of knowing that within this is giving and taking is a balance, and that we have to make sure that we are doing all of the parts. I want to now look in a bit more inward and how you can bring light to your truth. And so we're going to kind of flip to a little bit more personal, but I think we're going to see some ties back to our community and friendships. So this is a good time to look at that. Do you want to talk? No, it's this cup. 1, 2. It's off on the third card. Oh, this is the fourth card today. Fifth card? Fourth card. Fourth card. Oh, we have the Knight of Cups. Now, this is this is the Thieves Guild leader now, if I remember correctly. I know that's not fully a memorable thing, but this is somebody who is a bit of a charmer. He has kind of charmed Hannah, if you know, have Hannah from the caves. She's got a couple different plot lines, but he's kind of won her heart in a sense. Again, another one of those couples that, not canonic, but everybody kind of ships them anyway, because it's very suggestive that they are a couple. And this is a character who we kind of just learn to love and trust throughout his plots, but also we're aware that he's still a thief. He's the leader of the Thieves Guild, and he didn't do it in any necessarily good ways. He did kill the past leader, and so there's some like being awareness in that. But I think you're bringing your light to your truth is knowing when your emotions can be important and powerful and give you what you need in that situation, but also being aware. Oh, my train of thought just left. Oh, knowing where to cut off things. So and I don't remember any character's name, and I'm sorry to those who do remember. One thing I really like about this character is that he knew what he wanted, and he knew how to like strategize and plan these things out. And I think what I would like you to remember is that the charming aspect of him can be also very cutthroat. And so like, just be aware that your emotions can lead you only so far. And I think that also knowing that your emotions and like your heart, following your heart can really be that light to your truth. That can be very, very important in this time. I am curious about your true freedom and what that looks like for you. So we're going to pull that card next. What does true freedom look like for you? Nope. True freedom looks like this card for you. Ooh, the Queen of Swords. We have a lot of different plots happening. Nothing particularly that's like, right off the bat that's like tying itself, which is honestly awesome. Queen of Swords. So this is a long lost character. Again, I can't remember anybody's names, but this is Sophie, I know. And she ends up being, this witch that is trained under her. Although, according to Sophie, she doesn't do any of the training. So we have our Queen of Swords a person here, and she is quick thinking. She's very perceptive. She knows what's going on. She's not quick to trust. She is a person who is hesitant in allowing others in, but will fiercely protect those she does. And I think for you, there is a certain amount of emotional strength that you have, but you're trying to figure out this brain, this balance of mind and heart. And with your mind, you are trying to strengthen that and find that. And that's really where you're like, that's where the true freedom comes for you, is making sure that your mind is just strong as your heart. Your heart is like so powerful, and you've honed it in. You've got the skills that you're wanting. You've already gotten that power looking really, really good for you. It's just now getting the intellect part all the way up. I mean, not in like a stats way, but like trying to understand what your brain actually wants, trying to understand what you're actually seeing, thinking, and all that jazz. And I think that quick thinking aspect of being quick on your feet is I can see it being very desirable. I can understand why you would want that. I am interested to know how, because like the cups and the pentacles tend to move a bit slower, and I don't feel like that's something you like about yourself, that you're methodical and like that you take your time with things. I feel like you're trying to be able to move faster in your world and trying to keep going at a pace that's faster, all those kind of a thing. And I'm curious what you need to release in order to attain this more freedom. Like, how do we create more freedom for you? What needs to release or go away? More shuffling. More shuffling. And what needs to be released for you is this, the Queen of Cups. Oh, we have multiple court cards, and this is our third Cups card. I'm not surprised that another Cups card is coming up after this kind of desire for more of the Swords energy rather than what you're currently in. The Queen of Cups is this, I mean, if you know Neopets, this is the soup fairy, and she's just this lovely, one of the, I love this fairy. I love this fairy a lot because she is a fairy who is just giving. The idea is that it's a soup kitchen, and the soup fairy gives soup to all Neopets, all Neopians that need food and have only under X amount of Neo points. So if you have a certain amount in your, and she can see everything. She can see your bank account. She can see all the stuff, and she knows how much you have. And so she'll know if you're coming in and actually broke, or if you need money, or if you actually need the food or not. And this is a really generous person, in my opinion. Incredibly compassionate and intuitive, very calm, and somebody who's just like really, really sweet and generous. And I feel like there is some of that generosity and that really just like giving of oneself consistently that she does not have. I keep thinking of the moment of where she just immediately refuses to take Sophie in, and that she has to be convinced into it. And like she basically just kind of walks away from Sophie anyway when she does accept Sophie in. She doesn't really try and help Sophie, but she does help in her own way, but it's so much more exclusive and like secluded. We see it in this Cups card that, you know, there's multiple Neopets surrounding, along with, I believe, a pet. I don't know which one that is. Or that might be a spotted Corvette. We see all these like Neopets surrounding the soup fairy, whereas our dark fairy, is it dark fairy? I can't remember. This like dark earth fairy, though, running away from Sophie, not wanting to be included. And there needs to be that balance of like, how much do you let people in? Especially since it seems like you're very much into your relationships and keeping them and having them stay strong. This like balance of like how much secluded isolation to help you grow and become a better person. Again, from that building up the ground up, things have fallen apart, and you know, we're building from the ground up. And how do you best help others? Knowing when you need to be alone is really important. Knowing that like, hey, I can't take on everybody. I can't help everybody. I can only pick a couple of things to focus my energy on is really important in this scenario. I think there is a noticeable thing here of a lack of wands. And there's almost like a lack of, so the wands often are in spiritual, or they're in spiritual or creatives. There's various things the wands cover, but like in this scenario, it almost feels like you're having a lack of spiritual energy. Not everybody has a spiritual practice or anything, but there does seem to be something that's kind of missing within yours. If you would say you have any sort of like religion or spiritual practice, this is a time to kind of reflect and revisit and potentially kind of have some time to go back into it and figure out what stands out to you and what makes you feel, what helps you both mind, body, and heart feel balanced. Those three kind of a thing in this scenario. We're really having a lot of this mind, heart balance that keeps kind of coming up here. And you are very heavy in the emotional side, which is not a bad thing. But I do highly recommend that we pay attention to the mind side of this and like being aware of where your brain is at, what you're thinking, and all of that. I think there's a lot to... I wish you were sitting in front of me because I have so many questions. Like, I want to know, like, how do you relate to these three individuals and what aspects seem like they do or don't work, or make sense, or what is desirable in that. And then, like, who are you of the Six of Pentacles again? I think there's three different people in this, and I think that you could relate to any of them. I love this Two of Cups popping in because we're having this, like, this show of a really nice, like, friendship that's grown and taken time. But I love that, like, really when it comes to it, you are somebody who can put up with the Tower and be okay with things being deconstructed. And that's wonderful. Pile 4, thank you for letting me read for you today. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun with this. This is just one that I kind of wish I had you in front of me to be able to kind of figure out what's, like, fine tune this and, like, get it to the person. The problem is it's a general reading, so I can't do that. But I would be very excited to hear about how you are feeling, what you're thinking, and if you're willing to share anything that resonated with you in the comments below, I would be loved to hear about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a magical day.